Imagine a thick, silver mist clinging to the surface of a frozen lake at dawn. The air is so still, it feels heavy, like a secret waiting to be told. Across this expanse of white and gray, two men are attempting to cross. The first is a merchant, his coat lined with fur and his belt adorned with a dozen golden bells. With every frantic movement of his oars, with every hurried breath, the bells chime and clatter, a frantic, metallic song that echoes against the distant mountains. He is anxious to reach the other side, to claim his profit, to be seen, to be first. Beneath the black ice, a predator hears the vibration. On the far shore, a rival hears the warning. The merchant is not just a man. He is a broadcast of his own presence. Behind him, emerging from the fog like a ghost, is a second traveler. He sits in a simple wooden boat, unadorned and weathered. His movements are not hurried. They are fluid, rhythmic, almost surgical. He rows with such a deep understanding of the water's resistance that the surface barely ripples. There is no sound but the soft sigh of the wood against the lake. He carries no bells. He makes no announcement. To the predator below and the rival above, he does not exist. He is the empty boat. He passes through the danger unseen, arriving at the destination while the world is still looking for the man who made the most noise. This is the ancient truth we have forgotten in our frenetic age. Noise is a vulnerability. In the grand architecture of power and wealth, visibility is often nothing more than a target, while silence is the ultimate cloak. We have been conditioned to believe that to have, we must show, and to be, we must speak. But the world cannot take what it cannot see, and it cannot defeat what it does not understand. We find ourselves today living in an era of the digital shout. We are told that our success is only as real as the evidence we post for others to witness. We feel this gnawing pressure to perform our lives, to flex our achievements on social media, to broadcast our hustle on professional platforms, to constantly leak our private dreams into the public viragum before they have even had a chance to take root. We are like that merchant with the bells, wondering why we feel so exhausted, why our energy feels so thin, and why, despite all our shouting, we still feel ignored. We are leaking our vital energy, our chi, in exchange for the cheap currency of external validation. We work harder and harder, yet we feel we have no weight in the world. We are shouting into the void, and the void is only returning the echo of our own anxiety. Before we dive deeper into the silent path of the greats, I invite you to join our circle. If these reflections find a home in your heart, please leave a like and subscribe to our journey. And I have a small question for you. What is one dream you are currently protecting in silence? Let me know in the comments. Keep it brief, keep it mysterious. Now, let us look at the first pillar of this ancient strategy: the gravity of inner abundance. Our modern world treats silence as an empty space, a lack of content, a dead air that must be filled with chatter or music. But in the eyes of the Taoist Masters, silence is the most dense, most fecund state of existence. It is not an absence, it is a consolidation. Imagine a great dam. When the gates are closed, the water rises. It becomes deep, dark, and incredibly heavy. That heaviness is potential energy. It is the power to move turbines and light up whole cities. But if there is a leak, 1,000 tiny cracks in the concrete, the pressure never builds. The water just trickles out, making a muddy mess at the base. Most of us are living with 1,000 cracks in our dams. Every time we have a big idea and immediately tell a friend, we are opening a crack. Every time we achieve a small victory and rush to post it online, we are opening another. We feel a temporary high from the praise of others, but that is merely the sound of our potential energy escaping. We are trading the power of the waterfall for the noise of the leak. As Lao Tzu reminds us in the Tao Te Ching, "He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know." This isn't a command to be a hermit. It is an invitation to hold your steam inside the engine. Think of a seed buried deep in the dark, moist earth. It is the ultimate image of silent maturation. For weeks, nothing is visible on the surface. To an onlooker, it looks like nothing is happening. But in that silence, a violent and miraculous transformation is occurring. The seed is breaking, the roots are anchoring, the life force is concentrating. If you were to dig it up every day to show your neighbors how much it has grown, the plant would die. It needs the abysmo of the dark earth to become strong. In our daily lives, this means cultivating the heavy to anchor the light. In Taoist philosophy, the heavy is the root of the light. The stillness is the master of the movement. When you stay silent about your financial goals or your creative projects, you are building a psychological gravity. People begin to feel a weight to your presence. They don't know what you are doing, but they can sense that you are doing something. You become like the deep ocean, calm on the surface, but with a crushing, silent power underneath. When you finally move, when you finally launch that business or reveal that transformation, it has the force of a tidal wave because it wasn't dissipated in small talk. You aren't just a person with a plan. You are a force of nature that has finally reached its season of harvest. This brings us to the second pillar, Wu Wei and the flow of capital. We often think of wealth as something to be captured, like a hunter chasing a frantic animal through the woods. We run, we sweat, we shout, and we often return empty-handed and exhausted. But the sage views wealth differently. To the sage, wealth is like a river. You do not catch a river. You position yourself in its current. This is the essence of Wu Wei, often translated as action without effort or non-doing. It does not mean being lazy. It means acting with such perfect timing and alignment that you don't waste a single drop of energy. Consider the story of Cook Ting, the legendary butcher described by Chuang Tzu. Ting's knife had been used for 19 years, yet it was as sharp as if it had just come from the whetstone. When asked how he achieved this, he replied that he does not hack at the bone. Most people struggle against the world. They hit the joints, they break their blades, they make a great noise of effort. Ting, however, looks for the secret openings, the tiny spaces between the joints. He moves his blade through the void. He follows the natural flow of the anatomy. He is silent, precise, and effortless. In our modern financial lives, we are constantly hacking at the bone. We see a stock price rising, and we rush in, driven by the noise of the crowd. We see a trending side hustle, and we throw our exhausted hours at it, hoping to catch a crumb. This is loud action, and it is almost always unprofitable. The water method of wealth requires a different kind of courage. The courage to be still while everyone else is frantic. Water is the softest thing in the world, yet it can dissolve the hardest stone. Why? Because it never fights the stone. It simply finds the path of least resistance and stays there, persistent and silent, until the mountain is gone. True financial power comes from this type of strategic patience. It is the ability to sit in a room alone and wait for the market to overextend itself. It is the ability to watch a hype cycle pass you by without feeling the need to participate. While the world is shouting about the next big thing, the silent operator is observing the cycles of impermanence. They know that what rises quickly must fall, and what is loud is usually hollow. Think of the way you handle your daily stresses, the frantic notification on your phone, the urgent email from a demanding client. Most people react instantly. They splash around in the water, making noise and losing their footing. But if you practice Wu Wei, you learn to wait. You let the mud settle until the water is clear. Often, by doing nothing for a few hours or days, the problem solves itself, or the path becomes so obvious that you can solve it with a single silent move. You become the predator that waits in the tall grass, not the one that runs around barking. By the time the world realizes you have moved, the prey, the opportunity, the capital, the contract, is already yours. You didn't win because you were the loudest. You won because you were the only one who didn't exhaust themselves before the race even began. This stillness we are cultivating leads us naturally into a deeper, more strategic layer of power, what the ancient masters called the mirror mind. Have you ever noticed the profound discomfort that arises when a conversation falls into a long, unhurried silence? In our modern social dance, we treat silence as a social failure, a gap that must be bridged with nervous laughter, useless trivia, or immediate agreement. But there is a secret hidden in that discomfort. The person who is most comfortable with silence is the person who holds the gravity of the room. When we are in a high-stakes negotiation, perhaps sitting across from a demanding boss or a skeptical client, our instinct is to over-explain. We feel that if we just find the right combination of words, we can persuade them, defend ourselves, or prove our worth. But this is a trap. The more you speak, the more surface area you give others to attack. Every word you utter is a piece of yourself you are giving away for free. The silent negotiator, however, understands the power of the void. They follow the teachings of the master of the Ghost Valley, the ancient sage Guiguzi, who spoke of the art of opening and closing. By remaining silent, you create a vacuum, and the human psyche abhors a vacuum. Imagine you are in a meeting, and a difficult question is leveled at you. Instead of rushing to fill the air with a frantic defense, you simply wait. You look at the other person with a calm, steady gaze, not a stare of aggression, but one of osmose, of deep listening. 1 second passes, then 2. By the 4th second, the other person's anxiety will begin to rise. They will start to wonder what you are thinking. To ease their own tension, they will often start talking again. They will offer more information, reveal their true concerns, or even lower their demands, all because you had the internal strength to say nothing. Your silence acts as a mirror. It reflects their own insecurity back at them while you remain unreadable, like a deep well whose bottom cannot be seen. This isn't about being cold. It is about being a silent negotiator who knows that the loudest voice in the room is often the most desperate to be heard. When you speak less, your words gain the weight of gold. They become rare, and therefore, they become valuable. You stop being a fountain of noise and become a source of resonancia, where every sentence you eventually utter carries the impact of a thunderclap after a long, heavy silence. This ability to remain unread leads us to a necessary protection in our pursuit of wealth and influence: the stealth of the dragon. In the ancient texts, the dragon is not a beast that hoards gold in a cave for all to see. The dragon is a creature of the mists. If you see the whole dragon, it is just a large animal. But when it is hidden among the clouds, a tail here, a claw there, it becomes a god, a force of nature that commands the imagination. We, in our modern vanity, have forgotten the safety of the clouds. We want everyone to see our full form. We want the world to know our salary, our title, our fecundo ideas, and our luxury purchases. But there is a dangerous Friction, invisibility. Envy. Envy is a silent, corrosive wind that blows against anyone who stands too tall or shines too brightly. When you broadcast your success, you aren't just attracting admirers. You are attracting the voragem of those who feel diminished by your light. You are creating unnecessary resistance. The strategist Sun Tzu taught that all successful movement is based on deception. Not in a malicious sense, but in the sense of preservation. When we are near, we must make the world believe we are far. When we are accumulating power, we must appear as though we are merely passing through. Consider the gray man strategy in the heart of the corporate jungle or the chaotic marketplace. There is a man who does the most vital work in the office, who understands the systems better than the CEO, yet he arrives in a modest car and speaks little of his private triumphs. He avoids the ruido of office politics. He doesn't wear his ambition on his sleeve like a badge, because he is perceived as the uncarved block, simple, unassuming, and quiet. No one plots against him. No one sees him as a threat to be neutralized. While his louder colleagues are busy sabotaging each other to climb a visible ladder, he is quietly building a foundation that cannot be shaken. He is the dragon in the clouds. Think of your own life. The urge to buy a car you cannot afford just to signal a status you haven't yet anchored, or the need to set the record straight when someone underestimates you. These are the impulses of the ego, and they are expensive. They cost you your peace and your strategic advantage. When you adopt the stealth of the dragon, you realize that the most potent form of wealth is invisible wealth. It is the money that no one knows you have, the influence that doesn't require a title, and the power that moves things behind the scenes without needing the credit. You remain the uncarved block, Bensi. Simple on the outside, but infinitely complex on the inside. By the time the world realizes how powerful you have become, you are already beyond their reach. You have achieved transfiguration through the subtle art of being overlooked. As we move deeper into the forest of the self, we encounter a mountain that few dare to climb, yet it offers the highest vantage point in the landscape of power. This is the pillar of detachment, as the ultimate leverage. In our modern existence, we are taught to cling. We cling to our jobs, we cling to our reputations, we cling to our status, as if these things were lifeboats in a stormy sea. But the sage knows that the tighter you grip the rope, the more it burns your palms. Real power, the kind of power that makes a person untouchable, does not come from what you can hold, but from what you are willing to let go of in total silence. Think of the voragem of a difficult professional relationship, perhaps a client who treats you with disrespect because they know you need their money, or a boss who uses your fear of unemployment as a leash. Most of us respond to this with a noisy internal friction. We complain, we vent, we lose sleep, and in doing so, we hand them the remote control to our nervous system. We are reacting, and as long as we are reacting, we are servants. But imagine for a moment the teaching of the Master Liezi on the void. He suggests that the person who values their inner silencio fertil more than their outer gold cannot be coerced. When you sit in a room with someone who is trying to manipulate you, and you find that you have already let go of the outcome, a strange thing happens. Your body relaxes, your breath becomes deep. You no longer have that frantic, frenetico need to please or to defend. This is the ultimate leverage, the power of the one who can walk away without a word of explanation. In the world of business, this is often called having a high threshold for pain. But in the Tao, it is simply called being empty. When you are empty, there is nothing for their hooks to grab onto. You become like the wind passing through a net. You are no longer a puppet to the impermanencia of the market, or the whims of a superior. You have anchored your worth in a place they cannot reach. This detachment isn't a form of coldness, it is a form of supreme freedom. It is the realization that money is merely a tool for freedom, not a scorecard for your ego. When you stop reacting and start observing from a place of silent detachment, you notice that the people who were trying to control you suddenly lose their footing. They were leaning on your fear, and when your fear vanishes into the void, they fall over. You gain the upper hand not by shouting louder, but by being the only one in the room who truly doesn't need anything from anyone. This leads us to the final and perhaps most misunderstood pillar, the legacy of the unseen hand. We live in a culture obsessed with credit. We want our names on the building, our faces on the cover, our brand recognized by the masses. We think that power is about being the sun at the center of the solar system, with everyone else revolving around our brilliance. But the Taoist Masters offer a different, more fecundo vision of leadership. They speak of the great ruler as someone the people barely know exists. Imagine a master gardener. When the garden is in full bloom, when the fruit is heavy on the branches and the flowers are vibrant, no one stops to praise the gardener's sweat or his cleverness. They simply say, "Look at how beautiful this garden is." The gardener has done his work so well, so silently, that he has become invisible within the success of the system itself. This is the legacy of the unseen hand. It is the highest form of wealth, creating systems, businesses, and families that flourish with such natural grace that they no longer require your noisy intervention. In our modern lives, we often confuse management with noise. We think that to lead, we must micromanage, we must shout, we must send emails at midnight to prove we are working. But this is a sign of weakness, not strength. It shows that the system you built is fragile. The truly powerful person is the one who builds something so subtle and so robust that they can step back into the silence. They mentor others not by giving lectures, but through osmose, letting their character and their silence serve as the anchorar for the team's energy. When the work is done and the victory is won, a quiet leader doesn't stand on a stage to collect applause. They are already back at the root, watching the next season of growth begin. They know that the greatest influence is the kind that doesn't require a title or a trophy. This is the ultimate power move, the ability to be silent, content, and at peace, regardless of the world's ruido. You have returned to the root. You have realized that the gold in your bank is only a reflection of the gold in your character. You have learned to move through the world like that sage in the empty boat, rowing without ripples, arriving without fanfare, and possessing a richness that the world can neither see nor steal. My dear friend, as we reach the end of this reflection, I want you to take a deep, slow breath. Feel the weight of your body against the chair. The world is incredibly loud right now because it is hungry. It is screaming because it feels an abysmo of emptiness inside, and it thinks that by shouting, it can fill that hole. But you don't need to join that choir of the desperate. You have seen a different path. The richest move isn't a purchase, a promotion, or a post. It is the moment you decide that your internal peace is more valuable than any external validation. It is the transfiguration of your perspective. Tonight, as you close your eyes, let your silence be your statement. Do not explain yourself to those who do not seek to understand. Do not broadcast your plans to those who will only offer their own shadows as advice. Close the apps, silence the notifications, and simply exist in the richness of the void. You are not doing nothing. You are cultivating the most powerful version of yourself. You are becoming the empty boat that crosses the lake unseen. Carry this feeling with you, this cool, calm strength. You are no longer the merchant with the bells. You are the sage with the oars. The mist is clearing, and the far shore is already beneath your feet. If this journey has brought a sense of calm to your day, I would be honored if you joined our circle by liking this video and subscribing. It helps this silencio fértil reach more weary souls. And before you go, tell me in the comments, what is one thing you will stop explaining to others starting today? I will be reading your responses in the quiet of the evening. Go now in silence and find your power.